Yo, what's going on guys? Welcome back to a brand new Division video. What if guys today is the most lethal PvP build in my opinion. This is one of those builds I don't think will ever go bad, no matter what you put in the game, no matter what combinations you can make with the Ninja Bike backpack. I feel like this is one of those builds that everyone will sometimes, if not always, go back to because how versatile and how many bonuses you get without actually getting the bonuses, if that makes any sense. So I'm going to show you guys this build. I've been using it for I don't know, for the past 3-4 days, and the thing with me is when I play PvP, I need to change up my builds a lot, and the main reason behind that is I get bored really easily with a certain build, so I switch it up a lot, and this by far is one of those builds I always go back to no matter, as I said, what build I make with a Ninja Bike backpack, or if I'm using like Deadeye or Lone Star or whatever, I always go back to this build. So if you guys do enjoy this video or find it helpful, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe for more videos, and let's get right into this build. So without further ado, this is the build. As you guys can see, it is a high-end / exotic build with a little greeny holster in the back, and the reason I have that is for the higher stats. As you guys know, classified gear rolls better stats, and you can also reroll it twice, so you could potentially get that god roll piece of gear. Now, the one thing I do want to say is, one, my gloves, my Skull MC gloves, do have enemy armor damage instead of skill haze, as you guys can see. That's the one thing that's kind of setting back this build, because the 9% skill haze actually does make a very big difference, and as I said, if I did have that on my Skull MC gloves, this would be by far my main build. But I do rotate it and I do switch it up here and there, but it's still, in my opinion, the most damage dealing, the most reliable build right now. So without further ado, I'm going to show you guys what I have on it and what I rolled. For my weapon, I'm using a lightweight M4 with adept, responsive, and competent. This is kind of self-explanatory. You do want responsive, you do want competent. You could also go with deadly. I started actually using competent over deadly because I want the base damage, not only critical hit damage, so that's why I kind of switched it out. And I also have 24.8k base damage on this weapon. For the weapon mods, I'm stacked all into critical hit damage. Critical hit chance is really what you want on your weapons, and also rate of fire on the magazine is very helpful. Before I actually move into the build, I do want to say two different things. So first of all, you are not required to use shortbow knee pads. The reason why I went with shortbow knee pads is because most of the time it's only me and my friend that play the Dark Zone, so there's two of us. When we go against a party of 4 or even a 3, sometimes it's a little bit difficult to win those battles because you obviously are getting teamed, and having shortbows, in my opinion, is very reliable, especially if, you know, your whole team is using them. I know it's kind of cheesy, and I do understand it's a little bit unfair, I guess you could say, because if you throw a shock grenade, that's literally a free kill, but you have to kind of get it from a perspective that when me and my friend play, as I said, there's only 2 of us, so most of the time we are outnumbered, and I don't know, shortbow knee pads, they help me a lot, even if it's throwing like flashbangs or just throwing grenades or pre-nading a corner if someone's chasing you. Shortbow knee pads are the best in my opinion, but as I said, you don't have to use them. If you don't like using them, it's personal preference. I would recommend using classified piece of gear for the knee pads as well, and ideally what you want on them is health, firearms, and like burn and shock resistance. But you know, if you get something like that, go ahead and use them. If you don't, then use your shortbow knee pads. It's really personal preference. The second thing I do want to say is I've been hearing a lot of players are switching out their specialized backpacks for a third piece of classified gear. So you have your knee pads, your holster, and you also have your backpack for the higher, you know, firearms or electronics rolls. The one thing I do want to say about that is I wouldn't really recommend putting a classified backpack, because the specialized backpack is very helpful, and once again, it's personal preference. If you've been playing the game a lot, you know specialized backpack is pretty much the way to go, depending on your build. But if you want to play in the Dark Zone, you do want a lot of skill power, you do want a lot of electronics, so losing that skill power from the specialized backpack isn't really the best thing. If you do want to change up this build, you can obviously go ahead and use a classified backpack with the knee pads and holster, but as I said, the one thing is you're losing a lot of skill power, so I really wouldn't recommend it. Anyways, getting back to the build, I'm going to show you guys what I rolled on my gear pieces. I do understand some of you guys already know what to roll and stuff like that, so if you want, you can skip the video, but anyone that is interested, here you go. So first up, we have a vigorous chest. I have health, skill haze, and ammo capacity with a firearms roll. Next up, we have a refreshed mask with skill power, burn resistance, and a firearms roll. For the knee pads, we have health, electronics, destroying resistance, increased kill XP, and damage to elites. One thing about it, I wish I did have burn resistance and shock resistance, because ideally that's where you get affected the most in PvP. For the backpack, we have a specialized backpack with firearms, health, and bleed resistance. For the gloves, this is where I talked about it earlier, where my gloves are not the best. If I did have skill haze, it would make this build like 10 times better, but you know, it is what it is. But what I have on it is 1232 firearms, assault rifle damage, enemy armor damage, and critical hit damage as well. Last but not least, I do have a classified Lone Star holster with skill haze, firearms, electronics, and stamina. As you guys can see, the stamina is pretty weak on it, but besides that, this holster is very, very good. So that is pretty much it for the build. As I said, you can definitely replace short bows with another piece of classified, and if you really want, I would recommend getting rid of the specialized backpack instead of like your vigorous chest or refreshed mask if you really want to use 3-piece classified. Also, I do want to show you guys my character stats. So as you guys can see, 24.8k base damage, crit chance, 100% critical hit damage, headshot damage, everything like that. Also, my max health is at 204,000, and this is something that's really personal preference. I know a person that plays with 190,000 health, and for him, it's perfect. Like, he doesn't get melted or anything like that. In my opinion, that's way too low, and I feel like I'm way more squishy when my health is below 200k. So anything over 200k, in my opinion, is great for PvP. Also, my armor is 30.47%, which isn't the best. For the skill haze, I'm sitting at 25%, and keep in mind that's without it being on my gloves. If you have better Skull MC gloves than me with like 9% skill haze, you're going to be at 34%, which is almost max without using a tactician. So, you know, that's really good for PvP or PvE. Anyways, that pretty much concludes the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe for more videos, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comment section below. I respond to all my comments. But once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.